Join our pack. Subscribe to start your adventure. Part 1. I finally got promoted to being a bartender, and I'm so happy because being a waitress at a nightclub was not fun. The security was tight, but it didn't help when you were serving supernaturals. Yes, I'm working at a supernatural nightclub. The most prestige one, might I add. It is where the rich and famous of their race come to have a good time without having to pretend to be normal. I know it's confusing, so let me walk you through it. After the war broke through between a group of humans who declared themselves as hunters and the supernaturals, the Alpha came and a chosen human council, which was made up of 10 presidents from the world's powerful nations, reached an agreement in which the supernatural will coexist with humans as long as each race respected the other's boundary. Those of us who were mated, or should I say mated and rejected by supernaturals, were given a green light to live wherever we wanted. Hence me working at Olympus despite having unique circumstances. It is the biggest, most famous and most expensive nightclub known to every creature. Now that you are updated, let's get back to my happiness. Being a bartender means I will not be harassed by unmated males who think, just because they can afford to come to the club every now and then, they own every woman that walks in it. I am not that attractive, so I don't even understand why they want me. It's also annoying because one thing that I do know for a fact is that in this part of the world a mate is everything. So I don't understand why they are not waiting for theirs. Don't get me wrong. Some of the waiters and waitresses crave them because of how they are built and their stamina in bed. So I guess we are responsible for leading them on to an extent. Lily, what did he say? Samuel asked, making me smile. I took the letter out of the envelope, opened on his face, and the next thing I know, I'm off the ground and he spins me around, making me scream. Put me down, you gigantic creature, I said to him, but he was not even listening. This is great. You can finally move into the dream apartment. Look at, he said, reminding me of what we agreed on doing once I got the promotion. You're right about that. New apartment, here I come, I said, then started swinging my hips and doing a horrible moonwalk. It felt nice until I bumped into a hard, cold body. I turned to find red eyes looking down at me with amusement. Sorry, sir. I didn't see you. Crap, I said, then rushed to the changing room to put my uniform on. I could still hear him laughing at me because he was standing right outside the door. Don't get me wrong. Zeus is an amazing boss and protective to But. He is scary as fuck, and I would never dream of being on his bad side. You can come out now. He's gone, Samuel said. Let's get this show on the road, I said excitedly, then pulled the door open only to see Samuel and Zeus looking at me. Why are you afraid of me? Zeus asked, looking me in the eyes. What? Not a no, my reply is not helping me at all. They started laughing again, making me look at my feet like they are the most interesting thing in the hallway. His finger touched my chin, lifting my face to meet his eyes. They were glowing red as they always were. It terrified me. He looked at me like he was inspecting my face, looking for something, then smiled. I have never seen him smile ever since I got a job here. My body relaxed a bit. Cute, he said, then released my chin and walked away. Samuel, why did you lie to me? I said while smacking his shoulder. He didn't even flinch. I hate being friends with a vampire. He made me do it, he said with his hands up in surrender. I rolled my eyes, pulling him to our workstation. We were in the VIP bar section, which only needed 2 bartenders. Oh, I missed having someone to work with, he said, handing me a towel. I turned to look at him. Oh no. This is not the time or place to become all teary on me. You are here because you deserve it, he said, avoiding my eyes. I couldn't stop myself, so I started crying. He pulled me to his chest, letting me release all my grateful tears. Hey, you know I got you right. Everything is going to be okay. I promise you, he assured me, then pulled back. I know. I just wanted to say thank you, but the stupid tears wouldn't leave me alone, I said with a pout, making him chuckle. He was so different from his brother, but I loved them both despite Zeus' intimidating aura. I will never doubt Samuel when he tells me he's busy ever again, because we haven't had a moment to rest since the doors were open. It was just order after order. When I turned to look at the clock, it was almost 3. You good? He asked, and I nod. This is what I asked for, and I knew it was not going to be easy, but I was not going to let Samuel down. Lily, catch, he said, throwing a bottle of water at me. I caught it, and drank the whole bottle. Feeling better now? He asked with a knowing smile. Yes, thank you, I replied while drying my sweaty forehead. Hi Samuel, Daisy said, flashing her boobs at him. He looked annoyed. Is Samuel or white to you? What's the order? He said seriously, making her furrow her brows. Hey guys. The royal guards are here. Should we tell the boss? Leah asked with excitement. I had never met them before. I just heard about them. They were 8 soldiers from the royal pack, reporting to the Alpha King himself. Some said they were unstoppable, like supernaturals on steroids. I'll go tell him. Find them a booth and make sure you give them whatever they want, Samuel said, looking pissed, then left. Potter, what can I get you? I said, not looking at the person in front of me. Processing 1,000 orders at the same time since Samuel decided not to come back, leaving me alone for the past hour. Your attention would be nice, a deep voice said, making me freeze and look up. I saw a huge guy leaning on my counter with a smile that can blind someone and his eyes. Tu es agent extraordinaire, Lycan Love. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing enthusiasm. What? He snapped his fingers on my face playfully, making me blink a couple of times. What the hell is wrong with me? Oh, I'm so sorry. What did you say? I asked, avoiding his eyes. A shot of whiskey, he said, in an even deeper voice that did things to me. I moved quickly, pouring him what was so not a shot of whiskey but rather a full glass, placing it next to him. Thank you. Keep the change, little one, he said, leaving $100 bill behind. I just froze. What did he say to you? Samuel asked, looking worried. Other than buying whiskey? I asked, looking at him with confusion. He released a breath. Samuel, what's wrong? I asked as he washed his hands ready to start helping me with the remaining orders. It's nothing. I just don't like it when guys hit on you, he said, making me throw my towel at him, which he caught with ease. How do you do that? I whined as he threw it back at me. An hour later, we were done for the day and started cleaning the counter. I felt eyes on me but ignored them, thinking I was probably imagining things. See you later, Samuel, I said, then started walking towards the bus stop. It was 7 a.m, so I was not afraid of walking alone. All my confidence went away when I was pulled into an alley that was right next to the club. When I felt the sparks, I relaxed because I knew it was Max wanting to check on me, despite continuously complaining that I was doing fine on my own. I already told you I swallowed my sentence when I found myself face to face with the golden eyes that trapped me at the counter. Who the fuck is Max? He growled, making me flinch. My action made his expression change from angry to worried. Hey, I'm sorry. I would never hurt you. Just tell me who Max is, he said with a calmer voice, but he was shaking like he was trying his best to control himself. Please don't hurt me. He is a nobody. Please, I begged, hoping it would calm him down, but it ended up pissing him off that he punched the wall behind me, making me scream for help just in time for Zeus to appear. Let her go, man. We don't want any trouble, he said, sounding nervous. Why was Zeus afraid of him? He was the most powerful supernatural I knew. Who was this god? And why would I do that? He spoke in a deeper voice. Whoever he was, it was clear that he had lost control of his beast. Please. She is just a human under my protection. Let her go, he said calmly. She might be just human to you, but not anymore, he said, standing right in front of me, as if stopping Zeus from coming near me. What do you mean? Zeus asked, looking confused. She's my mate. The moment his words reached my ears, I started breathing faster. That's impossible. She's human, Samuel said from behind his brother. It's good that I don't fucking care about your opinion. She is none of your concern anymore, he said, finally turning to look at me, and I was suddenly aware that I was crying. He looked confused and I didn't even care. You're scaring her, Samuel said, then tried to pull me away from him. His hand was on Samuel's throat in seconds, slamming him to the wall. This was not happening. I was not going to let him die because of me. I recalled what Max told me about mates and hoped that it would work. I put my hand on his talks were so intense that he released Samuel on the spot. Please don't hurt him. I will go with you. Please, I begged with my tears going down my cheeks. Good choice, little one. Let's go, he said, giving me his hand, and I took it. He pulled me away, and all I could do was watch as Zeus rushed to his little brother, pulling him up to his feet. I'm sorry, I whispered, knowing that he could hear me. Get in. Little one, the man said, gesturing me towards one of the 3 black SUVs that were parked across the street. I got in quietly. It's a long drive. Do you want to pass by your house and take your stuff? The ones that fit in here, he asked politely, something that I didn't expect from someone who just joked my friend. Yes, please, I said, avoiding his eyes. He handed me a tablet with a map on it. I entered my address and remained quiet as the car started moving. I was living far from the club. The houses were cheaper. When we reached my house, he followed me quietly, observing me as if he was studying me. When I came out of the bathroom, I found him sniffing my sheets. I didn't ask, and he didn't look bothered by the fact that I found him. I remember Max told me a mate scent was soothing and sometimes addictive. I went to put the toiletries in my bag and then closed it. I was about to lift it when my phone started ringing. I pulled it from my pocket and saw that it was Max. My heart started beating fast. I didn't know if I should answer it or not, and before I could move, my phone was taken. He answered and put it on loudspeaker. Lily, where are you? Are you okay? Max asked, sounding worried. I was about to answer when the man beat me to it. Max, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Who are you? I swear if you hurt how you will what? Before you make promises you can't keep. I suggest you find out who you are talking to. Mut. He barked, then crushed my phone with his hand. Part 3. After the commotion, none of us said anything. He helped me with the bag as we quietly walked out of the house. I noticed my neighbors looking at me with confusion and some with fear in their eyes. I got in the car and sat quietly, passed by the supermarket. She will need snacks, he told the driver, who just nodded. I decided to sleep, hoping it would all be a dream when I woke. Do you think she has teammates? No, it's impossible. I just wish I didn't lose my cool. She was shaking like she was afraid I was going to harm her. I mean, she's my mate. I have waited years for her. Calm down, man. I'm sure everything will be okay when they stop talking. I opened my eyes and stretched. I turned so that I was facing his side. My eyes met his. He smiled nervously and I didn't know how to behave, so I just looked away from him. We got you some snacks. He handed me a bag of chips and a bottle of water. Thank you, I replied and started eating fast. I had no idea I was that hungry. You want another one? He asked with a smile. This time I didn't look away from his eyes. Yes, please, I replied. I don't know why, but his eyes just amazed me every time. The driver cleared his throat, taking us out of the moment. We're here, he said, making him look to the front. I turned to my window and saw that we were in the Royal Pack. This was the second time that I got to be in a pack. The first was when Max took me to his pack. The Riverfall Pack. It had the most amazing river I had ever seen. Just perfect, except for the memories that came with it. The car stopped in front of a modern castle with men in suits roaming around. Come, little one, he said, getting out of the car and then getting his hand out for me to take. The sparks erupted the moment my hand settled in his. I saw his body tense for a few seconds, then we started walking in. The people around the huge house were intimating. They greeted him, calling him sir. It was weird because right after greeting him their eyes would fall on me and they'd frown. What surprised me was that they didn't frown in a bad way, but in a curious way. It made me feel nervous and hold on tighter to his hand. You're safe here, Lily. Don't worry, he said as we walked up the stairs. Just Lily, please, I said in a whisper, but I knew he heard me. Who do we have here? Someone asked when we reached the top of the stairs. When I looked up I saw that he had similar features to those of my mate. If you looked in a hurry you would think they were twins, but this one was more relaxed and formal. There was something about him that made me feel calm. To my agent extraordinaire, Lycan Love. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. This is Lee. My mate, the man's eyes went wide with shock. Whoa. I did not expect. Welcome to our home, Lily. My name is Eric Lauder Baldrick and this is my wife Natalie, he said with a smile. My eyes landed on a pregnant woman who was also smiling at me like a kid in a candy store. Thank you, I said, looking at my feet. My mate cleared his throat and then pulled me to a room that was at the end of the hall, in the opposite direction of where the nice couple went to. The room was like an independent apartment on its own. with a smaller kitchen bay for coffee making and food preheating. No stoves, just a couple of utensils and a fridge. It was a very neat place with Zeus of black and white. Welcome to our room. This is the kitchen. I'm not around most of the time, which explains the void feeling, but feel free to redecorate if you want to, he said nervously, making me smile. It was hard to imagine that he was the same man that almost killed my only friend a few hours ago. Right now he looked cute. If you asked me why, I wouldn't have any answer for you. I followed him to the bedroom, then the closet and bathroom. They were all so modern and unique. I was impressed with the way the color patterns were placed. It was just amazing. Millie helped me with the decor, he said, standing right behind me. He smelled so good that I found me leaning back on his chest and his hand holding onto my tummy. It felt good. The best feeling that I never thought I would feel again. There was a knock on the door that made him pull away. I whimpered louder than expected, making him chuckle as he left the bedroom. He returned a few minutes later with my bag and his. You should take a shower and rest. I will come to get you when dinner is ready, okay? He said calmly. I nodded and watched as he approached me, and when he was close enough, he bent his neck and kissed my forehead. When I was sure I was alone, I sat on the sofa facing the bed and released a breath. I couldn't believe the turn of events in the past 24 hours. I wondered how Samuel was doing. The fact that my phone was destroyed right in front of my eyes did not leave room for saving the numbers elsewhere. I felt angry at the fact that their so-called moon goddess would not leave me alone and decided to give me another mate. I heard of second chance mates when I was in Riverfall Pack, but I did not believe in them. I guess the joke is on me. I just got a hold of my life and all of a sudden, I was pulled from it without having a chance to say goodbye to the people who mattered to me. The ones who helped me through my past. It was not fair, and I knew the only way to fix it was to tell him about my past. I know he will reject me and I will be back at Olympus by tomorrow. Part for Derek's POV. I am still trying to wrap my head around the fact that I just found my mate and for some reason, there is someone else involved and I don't know who the fuck he is. Hey Derek. You okay? Millie asked, startling me. Fuck. Woman. You want to kill me with a heart attack? I asked, playfully, making her laugh. I have never startled you since I met you. I guess having a mate changes things, huh? She asked, making me smirk. Look who's talking, Eric said, emerging from his office. Natalie was a warrior in my squad before she became Lunar Queen. She was tough and even made me sweat a couple of times during our sparring sessions, but all that went down the drain the moment she met my brother. Don't get me wrong, she is still tough, but only when it was absolutely necessary, which was very rare. Who saw you on Mister? She said, pretending to throw a warning, making me laugh. I can't believe you finally have a mate. How does it feel? He asked with curiosity. Well, if you don't count messing up our encounter, then I would say it feels amazing. They both looked at me with a, no you didn't, expression, making me hold my hands up in surrender. Tell me how you would feel if you meet your mate and she calls you by someone else's name, I said, defending myself before an angry pregnant woman could kick my ass. What do you mean? Eric asked, looking confused. She called me Max. I lost my cool and the look she had on her face was so heartbreaking. It was like she thought I was going to hurt her man. I've been waiting for her all this time and the first thing I do is mess it up. I felt Millie pull me into a hug. It felt good. Her hugs always calmed me. Derek, we all mess things up at first, but that does not mean we are bad mates. Everything will be okay. You just have to take it one step at a time. I'm sure she knows that you will never hurt her. Maybe she has never seen a supernatural before, he said, reminding me how close she seemed to be with Zeus' brother and how she wasn't surprised by the sparks when I touched her. I doubt that. Zeus said she was under his protection, so I know there is more to this. Good. So we have a starting point. Maybe Zeus can tell you more about her, he suggested, making me scratch the back of my head. What did you do? He asked knowingly. I don't think you will welcome me again, I said, looking away from Eric. Derek. Did you kill him? He asked with a very rare warning tone. No, I didn't. I'm not that out of control. But I killed Choke, his little brother. I almost killed him, but Lily intervened. In my defense. He tried to take my mate away from me. He hit his face with the palm of his hand. How many times do I have to tell you to control your beasts, man? One of these days you will start a war and I swear I won't help you solve it, he barked, walking to his office while pulling Millie with him. I followed him. He sat on his office chair, putting Millie on his lap and buried his nose in the crook of her neck, trying his best to calm down. I'm sorry, I apologized, but he didn't even bother replying. His phone started ringing. He called back and looked at the screen. Speak of the devil, he said, then answered. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I have heard. My apologies. She is fine. I can assure you. No harm will come to her. He is not a barbarian, he said, looking at me. I rolled my eyes. It was a lapse of judgment. Everyone knows I have anger issues. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. My door is always open, he finished, then hung up. You're lucky, Millie, as he roared. I would have broken that face of yours. He mind-linked me, not wanting to wake Millie up, who had fallen asleep in his arms. I was sorry. You are the captain of the Royal Guard, for fuck's sake. You should know better. We don't have the luxury of making mistakes, Derek. I know. Good. Now go make it right with your mate. It seems she was close with Zeus. Let him talk to her. It will make her more comfortable. He finished and then carried Millie out of his office. I decided to go to my office and get some work done. We have been going around different packs to train their warriors. It was something that we did once a year. I rarely went with them, but I'm happy I joined this time around. I hated the idea of going to nightclubs for drinks, but for some reason when the team decided to pass by Olympus, I agreed, and there she was behind the counter looking so delicious in her tea, shirt and jeans. Her dark chocolate skin, curves that would make anyone go crazy, and big brown eyes, made me summon extra courage just to keep my beasts under control. I know I won't like this Max story, but there is no way I'm giving up on my mate. I'm going to make this work. I released a breath, then stood up ready to go see her. But I returned to my bedroom. I found Lily asleep in the middle of my bed. I loved the sight. It felt right. After 300 years, I get to have a mate. How awesome is that? I smiled at the thought, then decided to go shower before waking her. The beauty of being a royal is that dinner is always on time. I was never punctual, but I tried my best because Millie always insisted on having dinner as a family whenever we can. When I was done with the shower, I got dressed despite hating it. I was used to being alone in my room, but I didn't want to give Lily a heart attack when she woke up, so I put on some pants and a t-shirt and went to sit right next to her, observing her beautiful face, hoping that she won't freak out when she found out I was a prince. Part 5. There was a knock on the door. I could hear it from a distance. Like a dream. When it didn't go away, I decided to open my eyes, and I found myself holding onto a very masculine arm covered with tattoos in my drool. My eyes went wide and I wiped my drool off his arm as fast as I could, but not fast enough because it earned me a chuckle. I didn't see anything, I swear, he said, playfully, making me pull away from him in a rush. I'm so sorry, I apologized while wiping my cheek, getting rid of the evidence. This is the most embarrassing moment in my life. And not. It's cute, he said, getting out of bed. He walked out of the bedroom, no doubt going to answer the door. Food is ready. Let's go, he said, helping me out of the bed. I wanted to tell him that I could move on my own, but I didn't want to annoy him. What's your name? I asked as we walked down the stairs. I figured, since we already established the fact that he had the most amazing golden eyes, the brightest silver hair, and the most amazing body, we could go to the next step, considering everyone knew how the mate bond worked, so might as well make the most out of it. Oh fuck. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Derek, he answered, looking me in the eyes. Derek, I repeated after him and saw his eyes going a deeper shade, then back to normal. He cleared his throat and then continued leading me to the dining room, where there were other people that I had never seen before. Apart from Natalie. There was a whistle directed towards me from a man that was sitting right next to a very authoritative and beautiful woman. From her build, she could be a dragon or bear. She had a huge smile on her face. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Don't even think about it, Derek warned, making his smile grow even wider. I didn't say anything. Derek. Did you hear me say anything? He asked the woman next to him. Hell. If you want to see your mate alive past this dinner, you will tell him to behave, he told the woman, who turned to Millie and whispered something, making her laugh. Sorry guys. It was a long call, Claudio said, rushing into the dining room. Hal and Chris stood up immediately and bowed their heads. Your Majesty, oh come on guys. You're making Lily uncomfortable, he said playfully. You didn't tell her you are the Alpha King, did you? Hal asked with amusement, making me choke on my saliva. You okay? Derek asked me. Yes. Your brother is the Alpha King. I asked in a whisper, which was not helpful because I was the only human in the room. Yes, I am. Lily, I am the Alpha King to everyone who is out of this room. And he ran just Eric. Understood. Yes, can you please call me Lily? I said, looking at each of them and finally settling at a smiling Derek. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We can. Is that only for people in this room too? He teased, making me smile. I like her, Chris said, and when our eyes met, he winked at me. Do you want to go for a walk with me? There is a nice garden out back. Derek asked, making me agree faster than I wanted to let out. He looked happy with my reaction, but I doubt if he was going to remain that way after finding out what I wanted to tell him. Let's go, little one, he said with a smile that made me follow him without question. It was a beautiful night. It made me think twice about telling him about my past. I knew I had to because it was the only way I could go back to my life as a bartender. Life was peaceful and gave me control of everything. I wondered why this moon goddess of theirs kept giving me these mates. I didn't want them. I just wanted to go back to when the only thing I worried about was getting to class on time, having good grades to remain on my father's good side, sneaking out of the house to go to parties, and most of all falling in love with the man that was not forced by some goddess to remain by my side. I know it's kind of cool to know that you will never end up alone for the rest of your life, but I couldn't ignore the negative possibilities. Lily, did you hear anything that I said? He asked, standing right in front of me. I'm sorry. This is all overwhelming to me. What did you say? I explained. He released a breath, and his eyes softened. I'm sorry about losing control the first time we met. I just didn't expect you to call me by someone else's name. I know you are not new to supernaturals or the way we live, so I know you understand what a mate means to us. Or at least to me. I have waited so long for you, Lily. I was on the verge of giving up, and when I saw you at Olympus, I just felt like I was dreaming. You are the most beautiful woman I have ever come across, and I just want to make you smile and happy all the time. Seeing you afraid of me just broke me, he said, then chuckled as if recalling a moment from his past. If my mother was here today, she would go nuts. She used to say that my temper would max my mate away, that here I am struggling to even remember to introduce myself in front of my mate, he said with his ears all red, making me laugh. Oh, I'm glad my act of embarrassment is funny to you, he said, making me stop abruptly. Hey, I am just kidding, he said, assuring lie which made me nod. Fuck, you're so beautiful. I can't believe you are standing here right now, he said, taking me in from head to toe. Derek, there is something I need to tell you, I said as we sat on a bench that was facing a pond. Part 6. The curse, Mum, I don't want to go to this party. They don't even like me, I complained, but she was not even listening to me. I wouldn't either because Dad walked in and started complimenting her then, though we were all focused on each other. www. Get a room. Why aren't you ready yet? My sister asked, making Dad pull away from Mum. Finally. Sophia, you look amazing, my dear. Please make your sister see reason. This is a family event and we are all expected to go with our family's dad, emphasis to making us all laugh at his weird facial expression of emphasis. Baby, don't do that again, please. You're scaring us. Let's go. Sophia, put makeup on her, please, Mum told my sister as they left our room. This was the second annual event that we had to dress up to. I wouldn't say that our parents were rich, but they were important in anthropoid pharmaceuticals. They were manufacturers of various medical supplements that helped strengthen human immunity. That was all I got from Dad's explanation. Our mum was the head scientist while our dad was the leading technician. They were all very busy but never stopped being parents. They never missed anything from school. Like never. They were amazing and I loved them with all my heart. And my sister too. She was the most beautiful girl in the whole college, which didn't come as a surprise when she told me she was selected as the head cheerleader of the college's football team. I confessed to using her to get away with countless situations at college, especially when I joined. She found out and scolded me, but my puppy dog eyes got me out of punishment. She graduated last year and got a job as anthropoid as one of the receptionists. Thanks to Mum. There you go. You look so pretty. I bet Killian won't be able to look away from me, she said while helping me with my zipper, and I did the same. Killian was the boy from my class. I was obsessed with him, but he was obsessed with Sophia. It broke my heart when I found out, but there was no way I was going to stand in their way. If I am to put them both on a scale from 1 to 10, they were both 11, so it only made sense if they ended up together. I liked him a lot, but there was no way he was going to notice me when my sister was around. Being black and a size 18 was a deep no-no in Killian's dating book. I was only friends with him because I was helping him with homework and we were study partners. When he came home to study and saw Sophia, he lost it. He has been hooked ever since, but my sister does not date boys who are younger than her. I don't think Killian will ever get the memo. We're just friends, Sophia. You'll never go for a girl like me. Remember? I said, putting on my shoes just in time to hear Mom calling us. Crap. Let's go, kiddo, she said, pulling me downstairs where we found Dad trying to kiss Mum and her complaining that he will ruin her makeup. Don't you guys get tired of being all lovey-dovey? Sophia asked with a smile on me. Getting tired of this bombshell? Never, Dad said, wiggling his brows at Mum. We all ended up laughing while heading to the garage. Dad, are you finally going to give us a tour? I asked with excitement. No, honey. You know they don't allow unauthorized personnel in the labs, he said with a sad voice, making disappointment spread in me. I hoped that this time around he would let me, but the answer was the same as always. I felt a hand covering mine, and when I turned, I saw Sophia smiling at me. Lily, you know we would give you a tour if we could. Right? Mum asked, looking back at me. I nodded my head and then turned to the window. We reached the gala, and as usual, there were paparazzi everywhere and on the red carpet. We walked on it and posed for a couple of pictures. Mum answered a few questions from the reporters, then we walked into the hall. It was decorated beautifully. Sophia went to sit with her co-workers, leaving me alone at the table that was reserved for us. Look who decided to show up. I have been waiting for you for hours, Killian whined as usual, making me roll my eyes at him. I just got here. Not all of us had the privilege of being the son of the founder of Anthropoid Pharmaceuticals, you know, I said, making him smirk while sitting next to me. You know, I would be careful if I were you, he teased, making me curious. Why is that? One day I will be the owner of this company, and you know what that means, right? He said, wiggling his brows. No, I said honestly. You're so lame. I will be one of the richest bachelors, and trust me when I am. You will need to be next to me because you will finally get the six-pack models you dream of dating, he said, making me laugh. Did you just declare yourself as a future pin? I asked, making him laugh so hard, and I joined him. I wanted to tell him that I didn't need anyone else, but I was not willing to lose our friendship. My family joined me when the event officially started, and like the year before, Killian's dad, who was the owner of Anthropoid, presented the success and awards to the high-performing workers. My mum and dad. People danced and drank, and at midnight the event was over. Hi, Sophia. I'm a year older now. Could I have your number? Killian asked my sister as we were about to leave. Sophia rolled her eyes, and before she could answer, Mr. Xavier intervened. Hold your horses, young man. Stop harassing my employees and find someone your own size, will ya? He said, smacking Killian in the back of his head. Dad. You're embarrassing me, he whined, making me giggle. Thank you, Mr. Knight, Sophia said, walking away quickly. Part 7. The past 1 year later. I woke up to the sound of something being broken, then Mum screaming. I rushed to Sophia's room, but she was not there actually. The room looked untouched, making me wonder why she didn't come home. Another scream was heard, and this time I rushed down the stairs to go and help Mum, only to walk into a very scary scene. My dad was tied to a chair and my mum was being held down by a huge grey wolf. There was a very scary man standing next to my dad with an evil smile on his face that scared the crap out of me, making me walk backwards slowly until my back hit a breathing wall. When I turned, I found myself looking at a pair of red eyes. "What do we have here?" he said with a wicked smile on his face. I wanted to walk away, but he held me in place. "Please let her go. We will tell you everything. Just please don't hurt her. She has nothing to do with this," Mum begged. It confused me even more. "Mum, what's going on?" I asked with a shaky voice. "Nothing you need to worry about, baby. Mr. Leo will let you go now, okay?" I nodded my head and tried to walk away, but the man's hold on me got stronger. "To my agent extraordinaire, my noble. Can't thanks for your unfailing shoots enthusiasm. Eleanor, you know there is no way that is happening, right? At least not until you take me to the lab and release my people," he said wickedly, making me tremble. "Leo, please. She's just a child," my mum said with more tears. The wolf that was holding her down scoffed. "I know, right? As if you cared when you took ours. Humans are very selfish creatures. If it was up to me, we would have sold you all to the vamps. Talk about an unlimited supply of blood. I would have been a god," he said with an evil laugh, and just before I could process more, the wolf on top of my mum stepped back and started transforming into a man. I was sure that my shock skyrocketed because after getting dressed he looked at me with curiosity. "Doctor, did you not tell your offspring what you do for a living?" "If I didn't know any better, I would think she's traumatized by my shift," he said, and I saw fear on my mum's face. "She has nothing to do with this," Dad said, but before I could turn to look at him, the man who was standing next to him started punching him non-stop. "Stop hurting him. Please, Dad." I screamed, but it only made them laugh as if they were enjoying my pain. "Stop it. I will take you to the lab. But you have to promise not to hurt my daughter. Please," Dad said with blood coming out of his nose and mouth. "Patrick, don't," Mum said with pleading eyes, but the man who transformed knocked her out. "Good choice, Patrick." "Anti-him," Leo said, holding me close to him as we walked out of the house, heading to the car. I swear, if someone else told me that my parents were werewolf hunters, I would have denied it with every fiber of my being, but being in front of my mum's lab, seeing dissected werewolves, one on the table and the rest in huge glass containers, proved otherwise. It was like I was in a horror movie. "This is where Mommy comes to work every day, Princess, and this is what she does to our kind. Look at that one. She's a 6-year-old child," Leo said, pointing at the wolf that was connected to IV drips that had purple liquid in it. It looked lifeless. "Oh, and this one is a pregnant wolf. I wonder what your mommy was trying to discover with her," he said, while forcing me to look at another wolf, but this was in a glass container, and it had no skin at all. Tears started leaving my eyes. My mum did all this. She was experimenting on all these creatures. "We are done with Mommy's office. Let's check Daddy's. Shall we?" he said, pulling me with him. I tried to resist, but it was clear that he was stronger. He dragged me to another floor. The offices were underground and they required my dad's fingerprints to get access. When the elevator doors opened, the light went on. Eyes appeared. One of the men tried touching one of the knives and hissed as if he was burned. "Silver," he told Leo. "Oh. So, Princess, this is where your daddy makes weapons used to kill my kind. Patrick, would you be so kind as to take us to the testing grounds?" "Said calmly. "Leo, please. She doesn't need to see that," Dad begged. Instead of answering, Leo turned to the man who was carrying Mum and nodded his head. The man smiled and easily broke Mum's hand, making her jolt awake, screaming in pain. "Can we proceed? Or do you need another motivation?" he asked, putting a curl behind my ear. Dad looked at me in horror and whispered a silent, "I'm sorry." We walked in a dark hallway, and when we reached the end, a door opened and we started walking in. We could hear growls. I tried processing but failed until Dad switched on the lights. There were 30 wolves and bears and other humans, but their skins were white like lifeless vampires. "There you go, Patrick. It wasn't so hard now," he said with a wicked smile. My dad swallowed hard, clearly afraid. "Release them," he demanded. "Patrick, don't." He will kill us, Mum said, holding onto her broken arm. She looks strong. Stronger than I thought. Eleanor, he will kill Lily. We have to, he said, then unlocked the doors. The creatures started shifting back to their human form. They bowed their heads at Leo while calling him Alpha. Rise. You are free to go home, he said with pride. What about the humans? One of them asked. He turned to look at my parents and then back to the crowd. I will handle them. You have been restrained for far too long. As your Alpha, I will take care of them, he said, and they all bowed again before leaving without looking at us. Part 8. The past. We were taken to a house that was in the middle of the forest. We were tied up and kept there for a week without food or water. My parents tried to talk to me, but I had nothing to say to them. They lied to me. From what the guards were saying, werewolves and the rest of the supernaturals were living peacefully in the forest, hiding because it was against the law for supernaturals to reveal themselves to humans, but hunters attacked them in their homes and killed all who resisted. They used weapons that my dad created. Women and children were taken to my mum to be experimented on. All this time I saw them as my heroes, my inspiration. They were monsters, murderers, and now we were paying the price. All I could do was hope that Sophia was safe. Lily, Bunny, please. We're sorry, Mum said, trying to reach for me, but like every other day, I moved to a corner, away from them. Rise and shine, sleepyhead, someone said while pulling me towards them. I could not move. It had been a week and a half and I had not eaten anything. By the time I opened my eyes, he was already between my legs. I tried to scream and ask Mum and Dad for help, but when I turned, I saw them tied against the wall. Dad was screaming for the man to stop, but it was like he was possessed. His eyes were black and the sound that he made was animalistic. He pushed his member inside me in one thrust, making me scream as the pain spread across my body. He pulled back, ready to cushion me again. He was pulled away from me and pushed across the room with force. I watched as his body slammed into the wall. Nia was fuming with rage. Kill him. She is mine. Only I have a claim on her. If any of you touch her again, I will kill you all. He barked, then carried me to God knows where as I welcomed the darkness. Why, her Alpha. Many female supernaturals are better suited to be your chosen mate. My wolf has chosen her, so I will take her as my mate. Are you sure about this? Yes, just make it better, I heard Leo say as I started regaining consciousness. It was cold and I had no idea where I was. When I remembered what happened to me, I found myself screaming. The doctor rushed to me, holding me down. He injected something in me, making me lose consciousness again. By the time I woke up, I was hanging by the wall with my hands in shackles and my parents hanging right in the middle of the room. They looked smaller than usual. Well, Dr. Eleanor, today is your lucky day. My people want justice for what you and your husband have done to us, and I'm afraid there is nothing I can do to stop them. As a good Alpha, I have agreed to the majority choice of punishment, and I believe it is fair. You will be killed through the very methods that you used to torture us. It is fair, right? Leo said to my parents, who only looked at him without answering. No smart answer, Patrick. That's a first, he said, then started walking towards me. I see you are finally awake, Lily, he said, pulling my chin with his index finger. I pulled away, making him frown. You better behave if you still want my protection, or do you prefer I call him back to come and finish what he started? He said with an evil smile, making me cower away in fear. I thought so, he said with a smile. Please, Leo. Let it go. Mum's tiny voice made it to my ears, and for the first time, all I wanted was for her to hold me. I didn't care what she did in the past, I just wanted my mum and dad to hold me and tell me everything was going to be okay. Oh, Eleanor, it's out of my hands now. My people need a Luna, and I believe Lily will do just fine here. Don't you? He said, and I watched my parents' eyes go wide with horror. No, please. She's just a child. Let her be. I beg of you. She had nothing to do with this, my dad begged. I had never seen him so broken, but that only fueled Leo's determination because he had this evil smirk on his face. It's too late for that, he said, then walked out of the cell. Lily, I need you to listen to me. Okay, Dad said, making my eyes meet his. He looked tired and weak. My eyes started to water. I've never cried this much in my life. It was the most difficult thing I have ever had to endure. "Gunny, please be strong and listen to me," he said, and this time around I nodded my head. "When you get out of here, I need you to find Killian. Tell him everything and he will know what to do, okay, honey? Please be strong for us. Promise you will be strong," he insisted with his eyes watering too. I turned to Mum and she was going in and out of consciousness. She was dying and it terrified me. I was taken to what looked like a stadium. It was surrounded by people who were cheering for something, and when concentrated in the middle I saw my mum being strapped on a stainless steel table and my dad hanging on a pole. A man was setting a set of knives next to Mum while the other placed a set of guns that I recognized from the armory. The man next to my mum took a knife and started dissecting her from the middle of her chest. She screamed in pain as people around the stadium cheered. I've never begged so much in my life for Leo to let them go, to make it stop, but the sinister smile on his face told me there was no use. By the time the knife reached her belly button, she was long gone. Dad screamed her name, but his grief was short as he was shot 3 times by the man who was next to him, 1 bullet between his eyes, the others in his heart and stomach. "Prepare her for the mating ceremony," I heard Leo give the order, but had no will to resist. My life was over. Part 9. The past. I was taken to a fancy room and women were waiting for me in it. They started cleaning me and all I did was cry as they cleaned me. "My dear, stop crying. Alpha says it's a sign of weakness. All will be well in due time," one of the ladies told me as she combed my hair, but the rest only huffed. "It is her fault that all this is happening. The least she can do is give him an other said, putting food on the coffee table that was in the room. "The ceremony will be in 5 days. Until then we will be preparing you for him. By preparing I mean feeding you and treating your skin to make you presentable," the older woman said, making me cry even more. When the sun went down they left me alone. I tried to escape, but all windows were locked and so was the door. I ended up falling asleep. "Your scent is very addicting, mate. I know Leo wanted us to wait, but I've waited too long for this," a heavy voice whispered in my ear, making me wake up in a hurry. I almost fell to the ground, but I was caught by strong arms holding me by my waist. I looked back and met Leo, but he was not the one I'd seen before. He was not himself. His eyes were black and his teeth sharper. I started screaming the moment he pulled me back to the bed. "You're mine, mate," he said with the same deep voice, making me struggle even more. He hovered over me with one hand holding mine on top of my head and the other tearing my clothes away. I was bare in seconds and I knew what was coming next. "Please stop. Please. I'm begging you," I screamed and cried, but there was no use. I felt him tear me with force. I screamed in pain, then everything went dark. Thuck. Thuck. Is she alive? Someone was shouting as I felt my body being moved. My whole body was sore and I felt wet. "Why is the bleeding not stopping? Your claws dug too deep in her skin, Alpha. She needs to be cleaned and stitched on her shoulder." "What the hell, Leo?" "I don't know. I lost control of him. I just need her to get better. I need her. Look at her. You're asking them for the impossible, but they'll try. You don't understand. She's different. Special." I must have heard. "What do you mean?" "Not here. Let's go to my office. Doctor, fix her or I will have your head," Leo barked right when I lost consciousness again. I woke up in the same room I was in before with a bandaged shoulder. I tried to move, but it was super painful. The soreness and pain between my legs were unbearable that I ended up laying on my back. The door was opened, and in walked the older woman from the day I was brought to the room. She looked at me with pity as she placed food on the coffee table. "How are you feeling, dear?" she asked, and even though I knew she meant well, I didn't care because they were all animals. They could have come and helped me, but they chose to ignore my cries when Leo was taking advantage of me. I remained quiet. "I know you think that we are evil, but not all of us are. The Alpha's command cannot be broken. He is our leader. Even if we don't agree with his methods, we must follow him. I was left to die by a group of hunters and he rescued me and gave me a home and a family. I can't against him even if I wanted to," she said, trying to help me sit, but I moved my hand away, avoiding her touch as if it would burn me. "You need to eat," she said, then stood silently, watching me. I chose to remain in bed. All I could think about was giving up. She left after an hour. I turned to look at the food. When I finally decided to get out of bed, the door was opened and Leo walked in. My body started trembling and I started to lose focus. "Lily, "I'm just here to talk," he said with his hands up in surrender, walking towards me slowly. "Stay back. Please. Please stay back," I begged, but he wouldn't listen. "Lily, please calm down, my wolf just needs to feel you. Just once and I will let you be." I promise he sounded genuine, but I couldn't bring myself to believe him. Not with the wounds that were all over my body. "Please. Just let me go. I won't tell anyone." I swear I sobbed, but all he did was walk closer until he was next to me and pulled me closer to him. He sniffed me a couple of times, then released me as if my smell made him feel better. "You belong to me, mate. I will never let you out of my sight," he said in the deep voice that I had come to fear more than death itself. "What do you want from me? What did I ever do to you?" I asked, suddenly finding the courage to push him away. "I want you to be my mate. I have chosen you. You're special, Lily, and you're all mine," he said. Then suddenly I was pinned against the wall, his hand on my throat. He licked his lips with lust. "You are so hard to ignore, mate. I want to taste you and take you one more time," he said, while looking at my body from head to toe. I tried to scream, but his hand tightened around my throat. Tears kept falling from my cheeks as my uninjured hide to push him away unsuccessfully. He entered me again. I felt something tearing within me every time he thrust into me. "Leo, we were under attack." Someone shouted from the door, making his eyes go back to their usual color, and like he just woke up from a dream. He looked at me in horror. "Not again," he said in a whisper as he released me from his hold. I fell face down on the ground, unable to move. All I could do was watch as he followed the man who dissected my mother out of the room. Part 10. The past. I heard screams and things exploding. I wanted to scream for help, but my throat was too sore. I was surrounded by my blood. My whole body ached. I couldn't move even if I wanted to. I made a silent prayer, knowing that with the chaos that was happening outside, there was no way anyone was going to come for me. Even if they did with my current status, no one would want to help me. There were footsteps right outside the door. I heard people talking. It was more like pacing back and forth. "There's no one here. I can hear heartbeat. She's here, who? My mate, and she's hurt." The door opened right after finishing the sentence. Two men walked in and my eyes fell on the one who had blue eyes. They turned black just when his eyes met mine. Instead of being terrified as I felt when Leo's eyes turned, I felt relief. "That is, what did he do to her? Is she human?" The man next to him asked, and all he did was nod as he walked near me slowly as if he was afraid I would run. He picked me up bridal style, and when I flinched, he noticed my bandaged shoulder and adjusted me in a way that would not hurt me. The sparks flew all over my body the moment his skin touched mine. "Find him and bring him to me," he shouted with rage as he carried me outside the room. There were dead bodies everywhere. The smell of blood overwhelmed me and made me give into the darkness once more. "Is she going to be okay?" "Yes, Alpha. But I must warn you. By the looks of how the wounds were inflicted on her and the extent of the damage, she will be traumatized." "What do you mean?" "Son, she was raped by a feral wolf. She's human. Can you imagine the pain she went through? She will need you. Her mate, will they accept her? I think the question is, will you?" I wanted to hear his answer, but my body was too weak and I fell into the darkness again. I could hear a beeping sound and it made me open my eyes. I was on a hospital bed with machines hooked to my chest and a drip inserted in my arm. I tried to get up but felt something stopping me on my left. When I turned, I found the man who rescued me sound asleep with my hand in his. I was admiring him when his eyes suddenly opened, making me stare at him like a deer caught in front of headlights. "Hey, how are you feeling?" he asked with a sweet voice, making me smile. I couldn't form words. He stood up and ran his fingers across my face. I could feel the sparks as I leaned into his touch. He took a glass of water and placed it on my lips. I drank like I was starved for years. "Slow down. If you choke, my sister will kill me," he said with a chuckle. "You bet I will. Why didn't you call me? I'm the pack doctor for a reason, you know," a woman that looked like him said from the entrance door. "I'm sorry. I just gave her water," he said, looking worried. He was different. I wondered what kind of alpha he was. People were terrified of Leo, but none scolded him like this woman did. "Hi there. I'm Dr. Donovan, but you can call me Lucy. What's your name, beautiful?" she said in a bubbly voice. Lily, I said, my throat still hurting but not as much as before. Lily, the man next to me, said my name. I felt the urge to look at him. When our eyes met, he smiled at me, and I found myself smiling back. This one here is Max Donovan, the alpha of River Fall Peck into a new home. Do you know what a mate is, Lily? She asked, making me look at her. I said in a whisper. Sort of. It's a soulmate. All supernaturals have one, and lucky for you. Max is yours, she said, while removing the drip from my hand and then the other wire that was hooked to my chest. I turned to look at Max one more time. But I can't be your mate. I'm broken. I don't deserve you. I can't be with you, I said, and all he did was smile. I will be the judge of that, he said, then kissed my temple. I held a breath, not expecting it, which made Lucy giggle. Whoa, love is in the air. This is so romantic. I'm gonna go collect some meds for you. I will be right back. You should tell Mum that she's awake. I bet you would want to see her, Lucy told her brother, then walked out of the room, leaving us in comfortable silence. You have a very pretty name, Lily, he complimented, making me look away. I never thought I would feel shy, let alone in front of a werewolf. Do you want to take a walk? We won't go far, he suggested, and from the soreness, it felt like I needed it. Yes, I replied, and watched as his face lit up. He helped me stand and put huge sandals on. I knew they were his, judging by the size. Sorry, they were the only shoes I could find. We will take you shopping when they discharge you, he said, putting one hand on my back and the other holding one of my hands as we walked out of the room. The place was spacious and it had a nice view. It was just the two of us. It's a private wing, only meant for the Alpha and his family. And since you are the Luna, it's for you to, he explained, which meant my face was that easy to read. What's a Luna? I asked, surprising him. The smile on his face told me that he was pleased by my question. A Luna is like a mother of the pack. She helps the Alpha take care of the pack, he explained, making me nod as we continued walking on the empty hallway. Don't let the story end. Subscribe to continue our Wolfpack legend.